like to welcome you to Boy Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to Boy Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty. Hello, Boy Meets Wellness community. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I want to thank you for your support. For those who are new to the show, Boy Meets Wellness is a podcast that tells the stories of people who are born obviously incredible. We focus on mindset, money, motivation, and of course, wellness. If you enjoy the show, help us pay the bills by leaving us a review at Apple Podcasts. This week's podcast features Nia Ness. Nia Ness are a Black out-lesbian couple and performance art duo whose work serves as a visual auditory diary of their daily lives. They believe that it's necessary for their stories as Black lesbian women to be shared, and it is their responsibility to share them. Since officially starting their company in 2016, their work and love have transformed into something greater than art and the lives that they initially dreamed of. They've toured 2 evening-length works, given speeches about their activism, and shared their love at universities, colleges, conferences, festivals, churches, parks, bars, and homes nationwide, and have been featured on multiple radio shows, TV, and written outlets. Taking their work beyond performance, they recently launched their podcast, which is one of my faves, Reclaiming Love with Nia Ness. And you can find that on Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. Nia Ness are currently based in Rosendale, New York, and you can follow their journey on social media by following @NiaNess and visiting their website, nianess.com. We'll be sure to put that in the show notes to make it accessible for you to be able to support their work. Before we jump into the episode, I would like to highlight the Black Business of the Week, which is Farrells Daughter. Farrells Daughter is a digital consulting company that includes graphic design, digital marketing, and brand consulting. They're offering a free 30-minute consult to ask them anything about taking your business to the next level and improving some of your marketing. Simply visit www.farrellsdaughter.com. That's www.farrellsdaughter.com. Now for our wellness tip of the week. My wellness tip of the week for you is to dip your hand in some soil. Yes, get out there and try to get on your green thumb. And if you got a brown thumb, you can simply get a cactus or a succulent, right? Something that's really resilient. The power of plants in your environment will add to the clean air, but also stabilize some of the energy of the room. But don't just purchase the plant. Take care of it. And if you can, replant it and replant it again. Get your hands in some soil. Today's episode is brought to you by Mar Media Productions. Mar Media is a media production company that produces, publishes, and uplifts the stories, arts, and journeys of queer and trans people of color and the people who make our lives incredible. Now for our conversation with Nia Ness. Hello, world. Welcome to Boy Meets Wellness. Today is a very special interview. I get to talk to and bring onto this amazing platform for you guys, Nia Ness. Nia Ness, thank you so much for being here, coming through, being in the building, right? I'm all the way on the West Coast, y'all all the way on the East Coast, but we're coming together. Can you please just introduce yourselves, full names, right? Or how you go, right? Like how you want the world to approach you, any pronouns that you may go by, and just let me know, like individually, what brings you joy?
That's a beautiful question.
Yeah.
We're Nia and Ness.
Hi.
I'm Nia.
And I'm Ness.
We both use she, her pronouns.
Yep.
And we are a performance art duo. We used to call ourselves a dancer poet duo, but it just, sometimes it feels, it's not just that.
Yeah. You do more than dance and I do more than poetry.
Yeah. A lot of people have called us storytellers, which I feel like that I want to embrace that more.
It feels really fitting. You tell a story with your body. I tell mine with words.
Yeah.
I tell ours with words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're based in Rosendale, New York.
Yep.
If you don't know where that is, yes, it's upstate. Our little town is very small.
Very cute.
Very cute. We're very secluded in the woods.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's been so healing for us. We used to live in Brooklyn, New York, and we felt like we couldn't breathe there anymore. So we needed to find our breath again. Yeah. And Rosendale gave us that. So it's been really amazing being up here and doing this work together for 4 years.
Yeah, we've been doing the work actually almost 5 years together. Yeah.
Wow. Are y'all gonna have like an anniversary celebration for this? That's a big deal. That's a big landmark.
We really should. We did not think about that. We should.
Yeah. I feel like everything is kind of just blurred over the last few months, almost a year. So we didn't even think of that. Like
we should do a virtual celebration.
We should, because we didn't do anything for a 4 year, did we?
No.
So
I would totally be there. I would totally be there. If, whatever the attire is, I can bring it out for the Zoom celebration, whether we need, a little bit of D-boy action with a long white tee.
Yes.
Or if you like me to come through in a bow tie and give you a little bit more. So whatever you decide to do, I am there for you.
Yes. I mean, you kill it with the bow tie.
Yeah,
so
you do.
So Nia, tell me a little bit about where are you from, right? Like, where are you from? Like, were you born on the East Coast? Were you born on the West Coast? Like, where did you grow up?
Oh my God, that question is always so complicated for me because I was born on the East Coast, but I was born in New York City, in Manhattan, but I was raised in Jersey. But I'm one of those weird Jersey kids that knows more about the city and spent more time in New York City than I did in Jersey. So I'm like half a New Yorker, half a Jersey girl, but not a real Jersey girl. So it's just, so I grew up in the tri-state area, I guess you could say. And I love it. I love it over here. I do. I love the 4 seasons. I love the West Coast as well, but I feel like I need my fall. Yeah. The winter I could do without, but I need my fall.
Y'all got to come through to the Bay Area. The Bay Area, you get fall and you get like a rainy winter, but you don't get a lot of snow unless you want to drive to it, which is only like an hour and a half away, right? So it's not
really
that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. Yeah. So
okay, I've been sleeping on the Bay then. Yeah. I've been sleeping on.
You ain't been sleeping. It's expensive. You fine. Just don't even do that to yourself. Just come visit me. I'll show you around.
Yes.
That's it.
Perfect.
That's the thing. Living over here in Rosendale is way more affordable. Yeah. Our studio apartment now is half the price it was in Brooklyn for more space, parking spot, and utilities. Yep. And 6 acres of land in our backyard and a lake across the street. Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll take it.
I would love to hear more about that later, about that move and that transition. But
yes.
Ness, tell me, like, where are you from? What you representing, and tell me a little bit about how y'all met as well.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm from Orange County, California, Southern California. I was born and raised there till I was about 14, moved around a bunch. I lived in Washington State. I lived in upstate New York, like way up, like Plattsburgh, near Canada. Yeah. I moved back to California, then moved to Philly. And that's actually where I met Nia. We met online though. So we met online.
I slid in the DMs.
She did. It was a website called
Was this MySpace? Was this Facebook? No, was it Downlink?
Yeah, MySpace was like non-existent by then. It was Plenty of Fish, and she hit me up and she's like, "Yeah, wow, you go to Temple too?" Because I was going to Temple University, and Nia was also going there. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting ready to go to bed. So you can call me or text me. Here's my number. And so we started talking and everything.
And that's what's slick with it. I feel like that was slick to just get my number.
Yeah. So then we were texting for like a couple days. And I really liked her texts because they were paragraphs.
Oh my God. You make me sound so like that girl. I was not like, you were both doing it. Okay.
What I need to say is like, there was so much content.
But as a writer, you had to appreciate that, right? Like,
exactly. Exactly. I was like, oh, I love this. Oh my gosh. It's like having a conversation. It was great. And then the details here are a little sticky because I kind of
now they're sticky because you agree with me a few months, like last year.
And forth with agreeing with you on this. It depends on my mood. But I feel like she invited me to her show because she told me she was having a show.
Oh my God.
And I was like, yeah, I want to go and everything. So I was asking her about the show. She told me where it was. And I said,
because you asked me what I wanted to do what I was doing that weekend.
Right.
And I wasn't going to lie. Yeah. So I told you. And then you kind of invited yourself.
So yeah. So
you're like, okay, well, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up going to the show and I showed up early. But I stuck around. I think the choreographer, he kicked me out of the studio.
Yeah, because Ness showed up an hour early. It was so sweet. She was there an hour early with flowers. And I saw her walk in. Like, no, actually, one of the other dancers saw her walk in and was like, is that your girl? And I looked and I saw Ness and I was like, I turned away because I was so nervous. Looking back on that now, I was like, Ness is great for not leaving because I probably would have left if that was me.
I thought you didn't like me. I was like,
no, I was just terrified.
She doesn't approve.
And the choreographer walked over and was like, you are too early. Yeah. You cannot be in here right now. So could you wait outside?
So I did. And then I came in and something told me to sit in this like one specific spot. So I did. And then when the lights came on and Nia came out on stage and she looked right at me, like I was sitting right in her eyesight. Mm-hmm. And we just connected immediately. And I mean, you looked scared.
Oh my God.
You looked a little afraid, but
whatever.
But it was just really beautiful, just like connecting with you in that moment. And then watching you dance the rest of the show, like, oh my God, your movement. Like I still love watching you dance. Like it still gives me chills and just warms me at the same time. You ever had that feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Y'all are so powerful and so cute. I love it. I love to hear about your love story, right? Because I think that is so central throughout the themes of your art, right? Like you give us so much intimacy. So let's talk a little bit about working together, right? Like you met each other at Temple. When did you figure out like, oh, okay, maybe we should produce something together? Like who brought up the idea first?
Ironically, you did, Ness, because but not professionally. I don't know if you want to talk about the class we took on Audre Lorde and like that final project that we did together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even before that, we kind of like the night we met, you had written a poem and I read it and you were dancing. And there was something really magical about that.
Yeah.
So I've never had that kind of experience with anyone. And just like even that connection. And I think that was even the spark that made me even think to ask you to be a part of my my final performance for the Audre Lorde class I was taking.
Yeah.
So I did a performance with my friend Sappho and Nia danced. And I did poetry and Nia danced during the class. And it was just really beautiful. And I wish I had the video. Like I could see the recording of that. Yeah. I've never seen it. I got to figure out how to get it. But anyway, but actually in terms of like a larger production, you not decided, but you said that you wanted to do a piece for the student concert.
Yeah. At Temple University, every semester they have a student dance concert. And I wanted to create a piece with Ness about the first year of our relationship. Yeah. And the show actually fell on our 1-year anniversary. Yeah. So I felt like that was a sign right there. And we created a piece together called The State of Quality of Being with Purpose, which is a lot of words now. I feel like it's funny. Our pieces now like have like 1 or 2 words in the title. So it's funny looking at that piece and seeing like how much we've transformed since that piece. But
it was really heady right? Because Ness, like in the dictionary, means a state or quality of being, and your name Nia means purpose. So we tried to bring it together.
Yes.
Anyway, too much.
But it was a really beautiful piece about the year of our relationship, the good, the bad, the intense, the love, like everything. Yeah. And it was the first time a lesbian couple has performed on that stage. So that was like a huge honor. And it was scary for us too, especially because in that same exact show, there was a praise dance piece as well. Yeah. Oh, wow. So we were like,
were you before or after the praise dance?
We were before. Yeah. That piece closed the show. Right. So I remember when we were getting ready and I would see the people coming in to the theater and I was like, oh, we have all these churchgoers here, Black churchgoers in the audience. and we're about to do this piece. And like with our work, it's very like there's no beating around the bush. Our work is not abstract whatsoever. So like it's very clear what it's about. And that definitely made it terrifying. But we received so much love from that piece. From so many different people. And that really like changed our lives. I feel like doing that piece. And I feel like even though at that moment we weren't thinking, oh, in a few years we're going to be working together professionally. But there was something clicked with that, being on that stage together, producing this piece together, working on the costumes, the lights, like the music, all that, the words, the movement, everything. It was such a beautiful experience. Like, and I've never, for me as a dancer, I've never had that kind of experience with anybody else. So it was so amazing. I feel like I found not only my life partner in a romantic sense, I found my life partner artistically too. Because I remember hearing about dancers like finding that one other artist, whether it be a dancer, musician, whatever, that was their life partner in dance. And I get to have that romantically and in my art. Like I feel so blessed.
That is hella beautiful. Let's rewind a little bit, right? Because you said you're in this theater, you know, you got the praise dance happening after you got people who are loving you and supporting you. So on the podcast, we often talk about like any amazing people you see in the world that are doing great work, they got a team behind them, right? And y'all have each other, right? I know y'all do. But who are some people in your lives, right, that make it incredible? Like if you had a gratitude list, who would maybe be the top, you know, one or two people for both of you?
Oh, this is beautiful. And also, wow.
That's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
That's really hard because we are lucky. We're lucky to be surrounded by so much love. Like I know for me, like the people who love me love Ness so deeply too, and I feel really blessed in that. So it's oh God, it's really hard to pick one or two. Oh man,
I think it's hard because it's like also my family still is in California. So I don't get to like see them like physically. I've gotten to see like your dad more. But I think I would have to say my dad and my sister. Definitely. I've been talking to my dad a lot more, probably over the past few months, more than I have in like years, it feels like, and really connecting with him more deeply. And that's just been really helpful and really grounding for me. And then also my sister too. I already said that, but just shout out Alex.
Hey sis, hey sis.
Definitely them for me right now.
I'm gonna cheat the question a little bit. And I'm gonna say, for one, I have these two friends, Sunday and Jewel. I put them in one category because we have a group chat. So whenever anything is going on, whether it's good, bad, whatever, I can just talk in that group chat and they just pour so much love into me. So I'm so grateful to have that and to have these two Black queer femmes pour so much love into me every day. And also then I'm going to cheat again and say my pole family, my whole pole studio, Hudson Valley Pole over here. That is like my home away from home. Like that studio has been therapy for me. Like, honestly, I feel like when I'm going to class, I feel like I tell myself I'm going to therapy. Like that's what it is. Like, it's so like the love from these women that I get poured into me every class, the way they uplift me, the way that I can be vulnerable with them, like the way that I can just be, I can show up however I am that day, and that's okay, and it's accepted and it's loved. Like I've never had a space like that before where I didn't have to put on a face. If I'm having a rough day, I had to still put on a face. You know, if I'm having a rough day, I can walk in and say I'm having a rough day, and that's okay. And like, they still love me regardless. If I'm not super excited or super happy or, you know, outgoing that day, if I need to be more quiet and more internal, they still pour love into me without asking anything of me. So I feel really lucky to have that system.
Well, shout out to y'all VIPs, man. Shout out to y'all VIPs, to your very important people, right? Like I knew it. I knew y'all had somebody, you know, back there beyond ancestors as well, right? Like holding on and holding space for your greatness. So I know a lot of people probably watch y'all, right? And they get inspired, like, man, I want to do this with my boo, right? Like, I'm ready. Let's start a business, right? They see videos, they online looking up how to create an LLC and doing all the things. Right? So can you provide some tips, right? Like, what are some of the like pros, right? Like some of the celebrations around working together? And what are some of the challenges that people should consider when getting into like, you know, professional and art and healing work with their partner?
I would say probably the thing to focus on the most would be the emotional aspect of the relationship. For me, I'm realizing that I'm a person who very much leads with emotion, which is something new that I didn't even realize that I do. And so that can be a great thing when I'm feeling good. But when I'm not, that can have kind of I don't want to say detrimental because it seems like a huge word, but also, a detrimental effect. Like if I'm not in a great space, what's that going to look like when we perform? Mm-hmm. What's that going to look like when, we have this email that we need to get out, or we have, this interview that we have to do,
or a podcast we need to record.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's like, how do you work through those things? Yeah. So that for me has been the thing that I've been focusing on the most. And so I think that's why I would just kind of put that out there like, hey, don't forget about this part.
What I love about working together is that we have the luxury in a sense of having two brains because, I think one way, Ness thinks another. So I might have an idea and then it can flourish into something else because of Ness's ideas. And like, it's amazing to see the work we've created together. Because I know that if I was creating this work by myself, it would not look the same way.
Same.
And I love that. I love that so much. And I definitely, a tip I would say to other people who want to work together is finding out like what are you good at, in a sense of like, and what do you love to do? Like, for example, like I love social media. I love doing our Instagram posts and whatnot. Ness hates social media. Ness hates posting on Instagram and whatnot. So it would make more sense for me to be the one focusing on that. But then even with that, like when I will write for social media, I'll collaborate with Ness on that so that, I'm making sure that both of our voices are being heard in each post that we put out. It's not just, it's not just Nia, it's Nia and Ness. And, then Ness will work on the emails, getting back to people in that way. Because also too, like I'm also an emotional person, and we also showcase our emotions in a sense differently, which I also love. And I feel like the way that Ness writes, it's so, I love when you do our emails and whatnot. And it's so like, because sometimes when I write, I'm so expressive. And I say, you're so sweet. I was going to say, I say too much sometimes, but like, I feel like your emails are like very much like clear and concise to the point. And like when we need that kind of energy, Ness has that energy. And then we need the more emotional writing in a sense of like, not our, I'm like making sense. Like
you are.
Okay.
You are.
Like not in our work. Right. Yeah. It's like like the Instagram writing, or when you're writing your newsletter, like that's how I talk in a sense. So I love doing that writing. And
you're so good at it too. And I really love that writing. And I try to make my writing be more like that. Like I add little exclamation points and stuff and try to sound like you. But yeah, I think because you're so in tune with your emotions, you're able to manage them better. And so it's something that I would like to learn from you, actually.
I'm glad this is being recorded. I could play this back all the time.
I know. The angriness is not going to like that. Right? The angriness is going to be like, it's on recording. No.
But honestly, what I also love about it too is that whenever an idea comes up, we can just share it. I don't have to wait until Monday at 8 a.m. when I go into my office and I see my business partner. It's like, we say all the time that the lines between our work and our relationship, there is none because it's all connected.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. I love that inspiration can come at any time and I can share that. We can be, we can wake up in the morning and I can say, Ness, I have this really great idea.
Yeah.
Or we could be in the middle of watching a TV show and we just pause it. We just talk about our work, and like, I love that for us. Some people need to have the schedules. I think also too figuring out what works for you as a couple working together. Because that worked for us.
Yeah.
Randomly allowing.
Our cat just jumped on the bed. Calvin, come over here. Okay.
God. Also, yes, we have 2 cats named Calvin and Jazzy. Calvin wants to be part of the interview, so he's here.
Calvin has been here the whole time, folks who are listening, and we will definitely be sure to leave Calvin's Instagram in the show notes so that people can go and check him out, because obviously he wants more followers. He's trying to get on the show. He's committed to being a part of
He really is. It's so funny. I really want to make him an Instagram because he also loves crystals.
We should.
We call him the crystal cat. He's obsessed with crystals. So, maybe we will make you an Instagram.
I think we need to make him and Jazzy both an Instagram.
We should.
Each.
We should.
Yeah.
The crystal cats.
The crystal cats. Oh, yeah. Just one together.
Yeah.
So I love it. Yes. You're creating it together.
Yes.
And they can contribute financially.
Right. Exactly. Finally, you get a job.
Right. Finally.
So let's talk about y'all's podcast. I was so excited to see, that you were stepping out and creating something new, a place to share. What made you want to embark on the podcast, and tell our listeners what the name is and kind of a little bit about it?
Yes, our podcast is called Reclaiming Love with Nia Ness. Yeah. And honestly, 2 major reasons. One, we've been told for years that we need to make a podcast. Yeah. And for me, one of the reasons why I was so hesitant is because I have a speech impediment where I have a lisp. And sometimes I talk a little too fast, so you can't fully understand what I'm saying. So I've always been really insecure about speaking in general. So then the idea of speaking and having it be recorded and having that, was a lot of anxiety around it. So I was like, you know what, I'll just keep pushing this off. And then secondly, COVID happened and all of our gigs were canceled. Yeah. And so we had to take everything virtual. So we were like, okay, it's also, we can't perform outside anymore in the winter, and our apartment is too small to perform inside. So maybe now is the time to do this. It's now time to create this podcast. And I need to, no longer lead from fear and trust into what other people have been seeing in me, in that when it comes to my speaking. So, and we a lot over this quarantine, we've been talking a lot about how we are unlearning and relearning what love actually is for us. There's not just one definition of what love is. And we needed to really debunk a lot of things that we learned growing up.
Yeah. Love for each other, love ourselves.
Yeah.
Also, people always ask us about our process. And what we always say is that it starts with a conversation. So with this podcast, we're bringing people into our conversations that really create our work. So who knows what work is going to come out of our podcast? Yeah.
It's been really awesome doing the podcast though. We have so much fun recording it, because at first when we approached it, we thought we had to do a podcast in a certain way, because we also didn't really listen to many podcasts before our own.
We're going to do this thing that we have no idea.
Let's just do it. And we were looking up online and doing our research, and we're like, hey, we tried to write an outline and do all this stuff, and it just was not working. And then Ness, you said, how about we approach it like we do our work and just have a conversation? And so what I would do is just come up with a random question to ask Ness. And when I would think of the question, I wouldn't process it myself either. I would have the question, I would write it down, and then I would leave it alone. So that then when we were recording it, I could answer it authentically. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's fine. Right. I love that. So it's been fun just letting the podcast episodes go where they need to go, rather than forcing them to go in one direction.
Yeah, they really just flow, and that's so much fun. Yeah, we talk about witchy shit.
Yes.
We talk about. Can I say shit?
Yeah, can we curse on here?
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, wait. We talk about masculinity. We talk about femininity.
Yeah.
We talk
colorism.
About, we talk about our sex life.
Yes.
You go to
which was also new for us too. Yeah. I feel like we feel like our brand is very sweet.
Yeah.
But we have a sexy side.
Right.
And
we just don't share all the time.
Don't share
but we're learning to share it, I guess.
I think what also sparked that was we were in Florida last year, actually around this time.
Yeah.
And we were in the bathroom. And Ness was like, people are going to think we're having sex in here. I was like, I don't think anyone's going to think that. Because Ness was like, really? And I was like, I don't think people think we're a sexy couple. I think they think we're a cute couple. And I was like, I think people think we're a sexy couple. And I was like, I don't know. So I feel like that sparked a whole thing. And it was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is hilarious. I remember that stage in my journey of wanting to not be cute anymore. I remember when I was in college and people would be like, you're so cute. And I'm like, nah, I want to be sexy. Like, don't call me cute no more. So I totally hear you. It's a different kind of energy, right? It's like, I'm mature, I'm grown, y'all. I'm grown.
Right.
I love it. So you've been podcasting for a minute now. And you said you did this because of COVID canceling some of your like engagements. What have you been doing to sustain, right? Like during COVID, and is there any way that folks can support your work, right? Because we're bringing that in, of course, at the end for you to share like hashtags and all that and where to find you, but really about like this COVID relief, right? Because I feel like it's so important for us to uplift and keep our artists like thriving, right? So that when we done and the party and it's the roaring 20s, right? It's time to turn up. We still have folks around. So tell me how you're sustaining and if there's any way that folks, can support you with that.
Yeah, we've been doing virtual performances.
Yeah, here and there.
Yes, that's been really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
You can always support us by donating.
Yeah,
so
that's been helpful too. Donating.
That's really so helpful. So our Venmo, Nia Ness, Cash App, Nia Ness, PayPal, Nia Ness at Gmail. So everything's at Nia Ness.
NIAANDNESS. And the reason why I say that is because we always have an ampersand in our name. So I just want people to know. AND for the cash. But yeah, that's pretty much how we've been supporting ourselves. And then just like on another level, like spiritually, just trying to take care of ourselves in that way.
Yeah. And being honest about our feelings. Like when we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling nervous, talking about it. Yeah. Not just holding it in because we want to be brave for the other person.
Yeah. That's been really hard.
Because we do that a lot. We both try to protect each other so much that we end up sometimes holding in some of our own fears because we're like, oh no, we don't want to put that on the other person, or we don't want, the other person to be more afraid. And like, we're definitely like working on not leading from fear and talking about these things because we need to talk about them, because if we don't, we're just going to explode.
Facts, especially, moving in the world together and being in the public, right? So one of the things that I really wanted to ask you all before, you head out is, what are some of that, like the pros and cons of being a public figure, right? Because I know that some people, they're like, I would never put my relationship out and be so public with it, right? And other people are very much like out there, and some of them on the drama side. So sometimes I'm just like, y'all need to go back inside too, because we don't need to know everything, right? Like, clean that up, right? And if you're not going to clean it up, don't be mad when community gets in it and tries to clean it up for you, right? So,
boom,
what is that experience like for you? Especially since you all explore so much of the like intimacy and trauma that comes up in your relationship.
Yeah, a pro is the fact that I feel like we get to give something that we didn't get when we were younger, when we were in high school, when we were, baby dykes, baby queers, and like not having a Black lesbian couple, a Black queer couple to look up to. Like we didn't get to see two Black women in love in a healthy relationship. Yeah. We really didn't see many Black healthy relationships, period. So it's like when we get those messages and those comments or people talking to us in person at whatever, like hearing them say that they can see themselves and that we can give them hope for their lives, and knowing that like love is possible for them because of us, like that just means the world. It means the world. A con is like what we do, because like we're not about the fake shit. Like we're not about to like post like, oh, like everything is so great and we're so happy if we just had an argument. Like we're just not going to post at all. We'd rather just not post than be fake. And what we also do too is what we'll say afterwards. Like we're not going to be like, we had this exact argument about this thing all the time. But we will say we had an argument and this is how we worked past it. Yeah. Because I feel like too, the public, I feel like we don't get to see healthy arguments and how to resolve them in healthy ways. All you're seeing is the good, and then you go into a relationship thinking it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's not. Even when you're with your soulmate, and like you have these like false things of like, oh, you find your soulmate, the job is done.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's not the truth. Like you're still gonna have arguments. You're still gonna have things you have to work through. You still have a lot of trauma that you're gonna have to unpack. And that your partner's also unpacking.
Yeah.
And when you're not connected, like our traumas are dancing all the time.
Yeah.
Like they are doing their little duets all the time. And we're trying to heal ourselves, help our partners heal and all that. So how do we resolve things in a healthy manner? And wanting to give that back to our communities, because like we didn't get that. Like we didn't know what healthy arguing looks like, healthy resolutions look like. And that doesn't mean sweeping things under the rug. It means actually processing and talking about things and having difficult conversations. And it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy when, we might need a couple of days from posting. And I know for me, like, because social media is like my job in a sense with Nia and Ness, I feel this anxiety. And I feel like, oh my God, like we need to resolve this thing so that I can post how we resolved it and all this stuff. And it's like that sometimes is difficult because I don't want to feel like I'm letting down our community by not being there. But I know now, like as I'm saying it, that we are healing so we can be stronger for ourselves and for our community because we can't pour from an empty cup. But yeah, that is hard. That is hard when I feel like we can't just be normal sometimes. Like even when we were living in Brooklyn, like we'd be on the train and he'd be like, oh, you're Nia and Ness. And it's like, oh, dang, okay, we can't even be on the train. Like, and it's like, we're not even like that famous, you know what I mean? But it's just like, I'm like, oh my God, I hope I wasn't asleep with drool falling down my face. Like, I hope, like, I miss, like, dang, I don't know. And then even living in Rosendale, it's a small town. There's about like maybe a handful of Black people over here. Yeah. So people know who we are. So it's like, if we're walking on the street, I feel like I have to look presentable. Like I can't look like a hot mess going to check the mail. Because I had someone DM us on Instagram saying, oh, I saw you checking your mail today. You look so adorable, you two. And we were like, oh, okay. So like as soon as we walk out of the house, we have to be on.
Yeah. I see it like I don't really see us as public figures, which is like, but at the same time, I feel like when you're a Black person living in a white town, you're automatically public. Like you're automatically like everybody sees you. Yeah. And that's not necessarily a good thing. It's like being a public figure without any of the perks.
Yes.
And it's like, okay. Because like, yeah, like when we walk around in the stores, like holding hands, like especially like when we go into Kingston and everything and people are looking at us, that feels really intense. Like that to me is a con. Like I don't want to be stared at. I just want to go in, get my stuff, leave. Yeah. But at the same time, it's a pro. Like there's power in that because there's a reason they're looking. Because people don't look at something if they're not drawn to it. Mm-hmm. Right. So I feel like also, it reminds me too that we have a lot of power, just us being together. Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all are amazing. I appreciate y'all so much. So let's talk about the future. Let's manifest together, or Femifest, as my partner says. Femifest a little bit. 5 years from now, where is Nia and Ness, right? Like I know you did this move. You're kind of in the woods, doing all this healing together, creating amazing art. Where do you see yourselves in 5 years?
That's so hard, honestly, nowadays with COVID. It's like, it's funny because like, if you had to ask me that 5 years from where we are now, like I wouldn't imagine that where we are today. Yeah. So it's hard, but like I do feel like we'll have a house up here in Rosendale.
Definitely. Land.
That's a big dream of ours to have lots of land because we want to start a residency program for Black queer people up here to get this healing that we've gotten. Yeah. We want to create a space like that we're getting. Yeah. Like we want to create that so that we can bring up Black queer people from different cities, hopefully all over the country, starting with New York City because it's the closest, and then different major cities that can come and just like breathe in the woods with other Black queer folks and feel safe. Because a lot of things, I think a lot of the reasons why Black people are afraid to come to the woods is because they don't know many Black people in the woods. So if they know we're here, hopefully they'll come. So definitely a house with land. Yeah. Hopefully our residency by then, touring with our work as well. Married.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd like to marry you.
Yeah, I'd like to be married by then. I don't think babies yet, because like there's things that we want to have kids, but there's things that we want to do before we have kids.
Yeah.
A lot of things, because we want to make sure that we do bring kids into our family, we can give them everything.
Yeah.
And if we're touring and we're creating new work and we're doing all that, we want to make sure that we're like settled in a space for a decent amount of time before we bring kids into it. Yeah, financially said, exactly. How about it? You want to add anything?
I mean, honestly, that's you nailed it. Like, that's what I want. I mean, you talked about having a glass house.
Yes, I have this dream of when we get our land, I want to have built this like glass house for us to get married in like the middle of our land. It's like surrounded by
beautiful.
Trees. So of course, y'all will be invited. You already know. Okay.
I will be there, and fashionably a little bit late, but not late before, Black queer late,
of course,
just a little bit. Yes. I can see it now, right? I love this part of the show because I love to dream with people, right? Just imagine us like listening to this in the next decade, right? And seeing where we're at, so many people even that I asked questions last year, and now it's COVID, right? Like what we thought and where we at. So I'm just so thankful to have been able to connect with you both, to hear more about your story. Can you please tell folks how they can support your work, what you're working on right now, and where they can find you on all the interwebs? I know there's so many ways for us to connect now, so please give it to them all, and we'll be sure to put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah. Well, our website is niaandness.com, niaandness.com. On Instagram, it's Nia Ness. Facebook, Nia Ness. Twitter, Nia Ness.
We do the most on Instagram, so we love our Instagram community and our Facebook community, but mostly Instagram. So definitely hit us up on Instagram. We're definitely exploring more of the love in our work now. We spent a lot of time focusing heavily on the trauma, and that's still going to show up because our love is so resilient through all the trauma. So that definitely does come up, but we're definitely focusing on claiming love.
Yeah. And you've been pole dancing a lot too. And so we're talking about,
collaborate. Adding that into our work now and doing like a poetry and pole kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
P&P,
really awesome.
I like it. P&P.
Yes.
NNN, P&P.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nia.
Hi, I'm Ness.
And we are born obviously incredible.
Thanks for listening to Boy Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at Boy Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time, go be